Ladies, if you're a woman over 60, I want to share something that might just change the way you look at your plate and possibly your entire approach to health. Now, I'll be honest with you, this message might make you pause. It might even make you frustrated. But that's okay, because sometimes it's in those moments of discomfort that real change begins. You've spent years, decades doing what you believed was right. You've filled your plate with what you were told were healthy choices. You've trusted the advice, the food labels, and the good intentions of diet trends. But despite it all, maybe your energy feels like it's slipping away. Maybe the scale hasn't budged in months, even though you're eating clean and staying active. And maybe your confidence, once something you didn't even have to think about, is starting to feel a little out of reach. I see this every day in my practice. Women doing all the right things, but still feeling tired, foggy, and disconnected from their bodies. And it's not because they're lazy or careless. It's because the rules for health after 60 are different. Your body has changed. Your hormones have shifted. And yet the advice most women still get is stuck in a younger woman's world. I'm Dr. Lisa Perriera. For over 30 years, I've helped women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond reclaim their health and vitality. And today, I want to talk about a simple but powerful truth. Some of the vegetables you've trusted for years may no longer be serving you. In fact, they might be doing more harm than good. This isn't fear-based, it's science-based. New research is helping us better understand how certain foods interact with the unique physiology of a postmenopausal body. And once you understand that, you can begin to make choices that actually support your energy, your hormones, and your long-term health. So before we dive in, if you find yourself nodding along, or if you've ever wondered why you feel more tired or bloated after healthy meals, do me a small favor. Click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and tap the bell so you'll never miss practical evidence-based health advice made just for you. Let's begin with the first vegetable on our list. One that's likely sitting in your fridge right now, and it might be quietly throwing your hormones out of balance. Let's talk about soy-based vegetables. Let me introduce you to Brenda, a 67-year-old retired teacher from Colorado. Brenda is the kind of woman you'd admire. She practices yoga, daily avoids dairy, and has been eating clean for years. But despite her efforts, she felt off. Her sleep was restless, her energy was unpredictable, and a persistent mental fog made her feel like she was losing herself. She looked me in the eye and said, "Dr. Perriera, I don't understand. I'm doing everything right. Why do I feel so off?" We looked closely at her diet, and there it was, soy everywhere. Soy milk in her coffee, edamame as a snack tofu in her stir-fry. It was a well-meaning choice, but it came with a hidden twist. Soy-based vegetables are rich in compounds called phytoestrogens, plant-based chemicals that mimic estrogen in the body. Now that might sound helpful at first. After all, estrogen declines after menopause. But here's the catch. These plant estrogens don't behave exactly like your body's own. And when they come in large quantities, they can confuse your system, sending mixed signals that disrupt your hormonal balance rather than restore it. According to research from the National Institutes of Health, phytoestrogens can have varied effects depending on the individual, the dose, and the health context. For women over 60, whose hormonal systems are already adjusting to a new equilibrium, these compounds can be more disruptive than supportive. Your body is working hard to stabilize. The last thing it needs is more confusion. Brenda didn't know this. Most women don't. That's why I share her story. Because after just 3 weeks of removing soy-based foods and replacing them with more supportive options like lentils, leafy greens, and high-quality proteins, her energy began to stabilize. The brain fog lifted. And one day, she told me with tears in her eyes, "I finally feel like myself again." That's the kind of change that happens when your diet aligns with your biology. And it's a reminder that what worked for your body in your 30s or 40s might not work the same way now. Let's move to the second vegetable that may be quietly sabotaging your vitality. And it's probably something you rely on for convenience: canned or pickled vegetables. I'll never forget Susan, 72, a retired nurse from Florida. A caretaker by nature, she had spent her life looking after others. But when she came to me, she admitted something she hadn't shared with anyone. "Doctor," she said, "I just feel swollen. My ankles, my fingers, even my face. I'm tired of feeling puffy all the time." At first glance, Susan's lifestyle looked great. She didn't smoke, she limited alcohol, and she took daily walks with her dog. But a closer look at her pantry revealed the culprit: canned green beans, pickled beets, jarred olives. These weren't indulgences, they were shortcuts. Quick, shelf-stable, and labelled as heart-healthy. But here's the problem. Most canned and pickled vegetables are packed with sodium far more than your body needs. And for women over 60, that excess sodium doesn't just raise blood pressure. It causes your body to retain fluid, leading to bloating, swelling, and added strain on your heart and kidneys. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 1/500 milligram of sodium per day for adults over 60. A single serving of canned vegetables can contain nearly half of that before you've even salted your dinner. We made one simple change. Susan swapped her shelf-stable options for fresh or frozen vegetables and started including potassium-rich foods like spinach, sweet potatoes, and avocados. Within a month, her blood pressure dropped noticeably. But more importantly, the swelling subsided. She said she finally felt comfortable in her own body again. "I don't just look lighter," she told me. "I feel lighter, like I'm not dragging around an invisible weight." That's what matters. Not just the numbers, but the feeling of being at ease in your own skin. And for so many women, that comfort is within reach if we stop unknowingly fighting our bodies. Now, I know these truths can feel overwhelming. You've been told your whole life to eat more vegetables, and that's still good advice. But not all vegetables are created equal, especially in this stage of life. Your body has new needs, new sensitivities, and new opportunities. So I want you to ask yourself, what's in your kitchen right now? What foods have you been trusting out of habit without questioning how they make you feel? Because the reality is, some of the vegetables we've leaned on, soy-based, canned, pickled, might not be as supportive as we thought. And once you start tuning in to how your body responds, you'll notice the difference. You'll feel clearer, more stable, more like yourself. Coming up next, we'll talk about a vegetable that's beloved across American dinner tables, baked, fried, or mashed, but causes more blood sugar spikes than most people realize. And for women over 60, that can be the root of stubborn, belly fat, low energy, and the kind of sugar cravings that derail your best intentions. I'll tell you exactly what it is, why it matters, and how to make a better choice without sacrificing comfort or flavor. Stay with me. Let's talk about a vegetable that's a staple in most American kitchens. It's versatile, filling, and often served at nearly every family gathering. You've likely baked it, mashed it, fried it, or served it as a side dish more times than you can count. I'm talking about white potatoes. Now, before we go any further, let me be clear. White potatoes are not inherently bad. But if you're a woman over 60 and you're struggling with belly fat that won't budge, energy crashes, or unpredictable sugar cravings, this might be a food worth reconsidering. Let me introduce you to Diane, a 69-year-old retired office manager from Minnesota. Diane was a proud grandmother and the heart of her family. When she walked into my office, she looked at me with quiet determination and said, "Dr. Perriera, I'm not chasing youth. I just want to button my favorite jeans again." Diane didn't want quick fixes or fad diets. She wanted to feel good in her body, strong, stable, and confident. When we reviewed her eating habits, one thing stood out immediately. White potatoes were a daily fixture. hash browns with breakfast, mashed potatoes with dinner, French fries with lunch on the go. It was part of her rhythm, easy, affordable, and comforting. But here's what many women don't realize. White potatoes, especially when fried or processed, are among the highest glycemic foods you can eat. That means they break down quickly in the body, spiking your blood sugar levels in a matter of minutes. And what follows? A sugar spike. A crash. Your body responds by releasing insulin to manage the surge, and over time, this constant up and down puts stress on your metabolism. It also tells your body to store fat, particularly around the belly. This isn't just about appearance. According to the Mayo Clinic, abdominal visceral fat in older adults is linked to a higher risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even cognitive decline. Diane hadn't heard this before. Like so many women, she'd been taught that potatoes were a simple vegetable, better than processed snacks, and certainly better than sugar. But sugar is exactly what a white potato acts like in the body, especially when it's fried in unhealthy oils. We didn't take potatoes away from Diane. Instead, we swapped them for a smarter choice, sweet potatoes. Lower on the glycemic index, rich in fiber, and full of antioxidants like beta-carotene, sweet potatoes support blood sugar stability and reduce inflammation. She made small but impactful changes. Roasted sweet potato wedges instead of fries. Mashed sweet potatoes with garlic and Greek yogurt instead of heavy cream and butter. These adjustments didn't feel like punishment, they felt empowering. Within a few weeks, Diane began to notice her afternoon crashes disappeared. Her cravings for sweets diminished. And one morning, she zipped up those jeans she hadn't worn in years. With a quiet smile, she told me, "Turns out my body didn't give up. It just needed a little better fuel." That's the truth. After 60, your body is more sensitive to blood sugar spikes. The same foods that once gave you quick energy can now leave you foggy, fatigued, and prone to weight gain. And it's not just about how you feel day to day. Managing blood sugar becomes critical for long-term health. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) reports that older adults with consistent blood sugar control enjoy better cardiovascular health, cognitive function, and mobility. Now let's shift to another surprise vegetable. It's elegant, versatile, and deeply woven into Mediterranean cooking. You've likely had it grilled, baked, or stewed in sauces. But when it's prepared the wrong way, it can quietly trigger inflammation throughout your body. I'm talking about eggplant. I met Maria, a 74-year-old retired librarian from New Jersey, on a crisp fall afternoon. She was lively and curious, a passionate gardener with a love for classic literature. But she came to me with a concern that many women silently endure. Her joints were aching more than usual, and her morning stiffness had begun to interfere with her favorite routines. Maria wasn't resigned to aging. She was proactive. She simply wanted to understand what her body needed now. We talked about movement, hydration, sleep. But when we reached her diet, a pattern emerged. Eggplant was her go-to. Grilled, fried, layered into casseroles. She loved it. Now, eggplant itself isn't the problem. It's actually low in calories and provides fiber and antioxidants. But the issue is how it's often prepared. Eggplant has a sponge-like quality. It soaks up whatever it's cooked in. And when that's vegetable oil or canola oil, both of which are high in omega-6 fatty acids, the result is a food that promotes inflammation rather than reducing it. Why does this matter? Because chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the leading contributors to joint pain, fatigue, and even accelerated aging. According to the Cleveland Clinic, excess omega-6 intake, without sufficient omega-3s to balance it, can fuel inflammatory pathways that increase your risk for arthritis, heart disease, and other age-related conditions. Maria was stunned. She thought she was eating clean and Mediterranean style. But that eggplant parmesan she loved It was being deep-fried in oil and smothered in heavy sauce. We didn't take eggplant away. We transformed how she cooked it. We opted for roasting and grilling with olive oil, which has anti-inflammatory benefits. We used fresh tomatoes and herbs instead of processed sauces. Within a few weeks, Maria began moving more freely. "It feels like someone oiled my hinges," she joked. That's the kind of change that's possible when we stop fighting our bodies and start working with them. For so many women, it's not about deprivation, it's about relearning how to nourish the body you have now. Finally, let's turn to a vegetable that seems harmless, even festive. It shows up in summer barbecues, snack bowls, and dinner plates across the country. It's yellow sweet, and so familiar that most people don't even think of it as a potential problem. Corn. Let me tell you about Sharon, 66, a retired school administrator from Iowa. She was sharp, well-organized, and had spent her career leading others. But when she came to see me, she admitted something that weighed heavily on her. "Dr. Perriera, I feel like my metabolism just gave up on me." She was eating less. She'd cut out alcohol. But the stubborn weight around her midsection wouldn't budge. She felt tired, bloated, and increasingly frustrated. A quick review of her meals revealed one common thread: corn. Corn on the cob, corn tortillas, corn chips. It was everywhere in her diet, not as a treat, but as a staple. Corn, in its current processed form, is not the corn our grandparents ate. Much of it is genetically modified, stripped of nutrients, and high in starch. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, corn has a high glycemic index and can spike blood sugar, just like white bread. And here's the deeper concern: those blood sugar spikes lead to insulin resistance, which tells your body to store fat. For women over 60, that often means more visceral fat around the abdomen, the kind that disrupts hormones, increases inflammation, and raises your risk for chronic disease. For Sharon, this was a turning point. "I thought corn was just a side dish," she said. But once we removed it and replaced it with fiber-rich options like lentils, quinoa, and cruciferous vegetables, her bloating began to ease. Her mental clarity returned. She told me, "It's like I finally stopped fighting with my own body." That's the real message here. You are not powerless. Your body is not broken. It's simply waiting for you to give it what it needs now, not what worked 30 years ago. And now that we've explored 5 vegetables that may be quietly disrupting your energy metabolism and hormonal balance, you might be wondering, what should I eat instead? That's exactly where we're headed next. Because removing the wrong foods is just one piece of the puzzle. The real transformation happens when you begin to nourish your body with what it truly needs to thrive. Nutrients that support vitality, movement, and confidence. Stay with me, because in the next part I'll show you the foundational foods and habits that can help you rebuild strength, reduce inflammation, and start feeling like yourself again. Now that we've taken a closer look at 5 common vegetables that may be working against you after 60, let's shift our focus. Because cutting out problematic foods is only half the solution. The real magic begins when you start intentionally feeding your body what it needs to thrive, especially in this stage of life. I'd like to introduce you to Eleanor. She's 71, thoughtful, sharp, and the type of woman who's tried everything. When she first came to see me, she said, "Dr. Perriera, I've counted calories, tried intermittent fasting, bought all the supplements the internet told me to, and I still feel stuck. I'm tired of chasing results that never come." I hear this a lot. There's no shortage of quick fixes out there, but they often ignore the basics, the steady, proven, foundational practices that support long-term vitality. Eleanor didn't need another gimmick. What she needed was clarity, consistency, and a plan tailored to her body's real needs. So we started simple. First, we cleared her pantry of the 5 vegetables we just discussed: soy-based foods, canned and pickled vegetables, high in sodium white potatoes, oil-soaked eggplant, and processed corn. Then we began to rebuild from the ground up, with foods that nourish instead of deplete. The first pillar, leafy greens. Spinach, kale, arugula, and Swiss chard are rich in folate, magnesium, potassium, and vitamin K nutrients that support bone health, regulate blood pressure, and protect against cognitive decline. According to the National Institutes of Health, women over 60 are especially at risk for conditions like osteoporosis and high blood pressure, which makes these greens not just helpful, but essential. Eleanor added a large handful of greens to her breakfast smoothie each morning. At lunch, she swapped bread for a salad with olive oil and lemon juice. These weren't major changes, but they created a noticeable difference. Her digestion improved, her blood pressure lowered, and she began to feel more awake in her own body. Next, we focused on healthy fats. Not the kind found in fried eggplant or heavily processed dressings, but the kind your body actually needs to reduce inflammation and support hormonal balance. Think avocado, extra virgin olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish like salmon or sardines. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish and flaxseed have been shown in peer-reviewed studies to reduce inflammation and support brain and joint health. For Eleanor, this meant adding chia seeds to her morning oatmeal and enjoying grilled salmon twice a week. These small adjustments gave her body the tools to fight stiffness and mental fog. We also emphasized high-quality protein. As we age, muscle mass naturally declines, which can slow metabolism and increase the risk of falls or fractures. Getting enough protein helps preserve muscle supports recovery and keeps you feeling full and satisfied. Eleanor began including eggs, legumes, and lean poultry in each meal. Lentils became a staple. Not only are they protein-rich, but they're also packed with fiber, iron, and folate. Fiber is another unsung hero, particularly for women in this chapter of life. It supports digestive health, helps manage weight, and stabilizes blood sugar. According to the USDA, most adults don't get enough. We made it a priority in Eleanor's meals with whole grains like quinoa and brown rice fruits like berries and pears, and vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts. But nutrition alone isn't the full picture. We also talked about hydration. Many women don't realize how easily the body becomes mildly dehydrated after 60. That tired or foggy feeling. It's often your body asking for water. We set a simple target: half her body weight in ounces of water each day. To her surprise, that alone improved her alertness and eased her headaches. Next came movement. No, not high-intensity workouts or gym memberships. Just consistent, joyful movement. Eleanor began walking daily, nothing forced, just 20-30 minutes in the morning. We added gentle stretching and balance exercises. Over time, her posture improved, her joints felt looser, and she told me I don't get winded going upstairs anymore. And then we looked at rest. Quality sleep is foundational. Poor sleep disrupts hormone production, blood sugar regulation, and mood. For Eleanor, we created a simple nighttime routine: no screens an hour before bed, magnesium-rich herbal tea, a regular bedtime, and a cool, dark room. Within weeks, she was sleeping deeper and waking with more energy. And finally, we talked about something that many women overlook: the emotional side of health. As women, we often prioritize others, children, partners, aging parents, leaving little time for ourselves. But purpose, joy, and connection are critical for vitality. Eleanor began journaling, calling old friends, and volunteering twice a week at a local community garden. She didn't just want to live longer, she wanted to enjoy the life she had. 3 months after we began, Eleanor returned to my office a different woman. Not just lighter in body, but lighter in spirit. Her complexion glowed. Her voice had a new strength. And when I asked how she was feeling, she smiled and said, "Dr. Perriera, I finally feel like I'm back in the driver's seat of my own life." That's what this is really about. Not chasing the woman you were 20 years ago, but stepping fully into the woman you are today. Stronger, wiser, and still full of possibility. Because you are not too old. You are not too late. And your body has not given up on you. But you do have to give it the right tools. You have to remove what's quietly working against you and replace it with what truly supports your strength. Now, in our final section, we'll talk about putting all of this into practice, how to simplify your daily meals, how to build a nourishing plate without stress, and how to stay consistent, because true health isn't built in one day. It's shaped by the small, loving choices you make every single day. I'll see you in just a moment. Now that you know which foods to remove and which ones to include, let's talk about how to make it all work in real life. Because knowing the what is only half the battle. Living it each day in a way that feels manageable and empowering is where true transformation begins. When I work with women over 60, I often hear the same concern, Dr. Perriera. I want to eat better, but it all feels so overwhelming. Where do I even start? The answer is, start simple, start small, and most importantly, start with consistency. Let me give you an easy blueprint, a daily rhythm that's worked for many of my patients, including Eleanor, Brenda, and Sharon. In the morning, begin with a blood sugar balancing breakfast. Skip the toast, sweet cereal, or banana smoothie. Instead, go for something that combines fiber protein and healthy fat. Try a green smoothie with spinach, chia seeds, almond milk, and a scoop of protein powder. Or 2 boiled eggs with a side of avocado and a handful of berries. Breakfast sets your hormonal tone for the day. A high-carb start will spike your insulin and leave you chasing energy all morning. A steady, nutrient-rich meal gives you the fuel to stay clear-headed and energized. For lunch, build your plate around vegetables, protein, and healthy fats. One of my favorite go-to meals is a large salad with arugula grilled salmon or lentils, chopped walnuts, olive oil, and a hard-boiled egg. Add a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds and a squeeze of lemon, and you've got a nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory powerhouse. Dinner doesn't need to be complicated. Think roasted sweet potatoes, sautéed leafy greens, and a portion of chicken chickpeas or grilled tofu. Add a drizzle of olive oil, some garlic and herbs, and you've got a plate that nourishes without stress. And don't forget snacks. Choose wisely. A handful of almonds, a sliced apple with peanut butter, or a small bowl of Greek yogurt with cinnamon can keep you stable between meals and prevent cravings that often show up mid-afternoon. What you drink matters too. Water should be your go-to throughout the day. Herbal teas like ginger or peppermint can help digestion and reduce bloating. Try to limit caffeine in the afternoon and reduce sugary drinks altogether. They spike insulin and offer no real benefit for your energy. If you're craving sweetness, reach for dark chocolate 72% cocoa or higher. Enjoy it mindfully. A square or two can satisfy without derailing your progress. The key is not perfection, but intention. Health isn't built by one perfect meal or undone by one indulgent dessert. It's shaped by the small, consistent choices you make daily. Choices that align with how you want to feel strong, clear, mobile, and present. Let's also talk about something else, your environment. One of the most overlooked factors in lasting health is what surrounds you. If your pantry is filled with the very foods that sabotage your progress, change starts by cleaning it out. Go shelf by shelf. Remove the canned goods loaded with sodium. Get rid of the corn chips and sugary sauces. Replace them with frozen vegetables, dried herbs, and whole foods that align with your goals. Make it easy to choose well. Keep a bowl of fruit on the counter. Prep vegetables ahead of time so they're ready to roast. Batch cook grains like quinoa or brown rice. These small steps turn healthy eating from a chore into a habit. Also, let go of the all or nothing thinking. If you eat something off plan, don't punish yourself. Don't give up. Just return to your routine with compassion. Your body responds to grace far better than guilt. Now, here's what I really want you to hear. There's something powerful that happens when a woman over 60 begins to believe that progress is still possible, that her body still listens, that she is still capable of change, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally too. I've seen women who hadn't exercised in 10 years begin taking evening walks. Women who thought their best days were behind them show up with renewed energy and confidence. Women who stopped saying, "I'm too old," and started saying, "I'm just getting started." You are not a passive passenger in the aging process. You are the driver. And every choice you make, every meal you prepare, every step you take, each one tells your body, "I still care. I still believe in you." The science supports this. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that women who adopt healthier eating habits in their 60s and beyond can improve cognitive function, reduce the risk of chronic disease, and enhance their overall quality of life. It's never too late. But the transformation doesn't begin with a gym membership or a dramatic diet. It starts with a quiet decision to show up for yourself every day in ways big and small. You don't have to do it all at once, but you do need to begin. So let me leave you with this. The world may try to define you by your age, but your body listens to your actions. It listens to your choices, your nourishment, your movement, and your mindset. You don't have to chase youth to feel vibrant. You only have to support the woman you are right now, with wisdom, with care, and with the same devotion you've likely shown to everyone else in your life for decades. Now it's your turn. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found this message helpful, please take a moment to reflect on what resonated most. Was it a story that reminded you of yourself, a tip that felt manageable? A new understanding about how your body works? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Your story may be the encouragement another woman needs. And if you want more practical, evidence-based health advice tailored to women like you, strong-wise and still evolving, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Together, we can reshape what it means to thrive after 60. Your best years aren't behind you. They're right here waiting to be reclaimed. Let's begin.